Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the C Word Chronicles podcast. I'm your host, Olivia.
And I'm your championship host, Ribu Thomas.
Oh God. Don't forget to follow me, guys. I'm at the Baby PT on Instagram and TikTok. I post stress-free baby development content for millennial parents, so go give a follow.
And I, if you need a follow-up in a golf tournament, I am a 2-time champion, so go ahead and give a follow. Reach out to me.
At?
Ribu.8.
Dang. So we'll get into that.
Instagram.
I'm assuming that's a peak over here. As you can see, for people who are only listening, Ribu has 3 trophies displayed.
There's more. I just didn't want to bring them all out.
Oh, okay. So we're just doing a quick little trio
just
of trophies.
Get to let the people know.
Last podcast, you were displaying your inhalers.
Yes. Opened up the lungs.
Right. And
did these so well. Open up the heart.
Now we got the trophies. All right. So lots to catch up on. So let's get into it. Weather update per my Senora vibes this morning.
How's that knee feeling?
It's humid. I cannot even express how freaking humid it is. Yeah. The curly haired girls know. Guys, there's really no coming back from humidity when you have curly hair. Like I straightened my hair today and my curls are like, you thought, you know what I'm saying? Girl. And like the makeup, it's just sweating off. But last week we've been having crazy storms, so much so that we had some hail.
This was a rain today. Oh yes,
remember that hail incident? We haven't had hail in years. This is really Senora vibes. Like we haven't had hail in years.
The last time we had hail, we just bought our house, and
we hadn't even moved.
We were in Dallas, and we heard there was hail. Guys, if you have a little hail in your house, get a little discount on the house. We got a little discount on that.
Yeah, we had did we get our roof
double
replaced?
Price check? We got no. Oh,
no.
Was that insurance fraud?
No. That was another hail episode.
Allstate, we love you guys. Allstate.
Love you, Allstate. Anyway, so
yeah. We have Liberty.
Liberty.
Yeah, love you, Liberty.
Liberty. Yeah. So we had some crazy hail. It's funny because Juju, our son, has never seen hail before. And so it was coming down pretty
really hard. Crazy thing was I got right back home from work and the news was on, and I've never seen it, on the news when you see the radar and you see like the little weather thing moving,
like
and
the colors.
We were in the darkest area.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've never been that dark.
And sure enough, we looked outside and it was black and it was hailing hardcore.
And I ran outside and I put a tarp over the truck.
Yes.
That was pretty epic.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
If you ever seen that movie Twister? You seen the movie Twister?
Sure.
That's pretty much what I was.
Right. Just eye in the storm.
I looked at the storm. I saw EF5 is what we describe tornadoes.
Oh, okay.
EF4, EF3 category. Possibly EF2, 3.
Okay. You literally just listed all.
I ran out there, threw a tarp on, told you guys to get in the spirit. I'll hold down the fort and we were pretty safe.
He was like, guys, get in the basement. I was like, we don't have a basement.
That's good. Yeah, we sat in the living room.
We literally,
the most vulnerable spot of the house.
To the window, we were just watching the storm.
The most windows.
Juju was like, what is going on?
He's probably the smartest one. He's like, why are we watching?
Yeah, he's like, guys, let's go. Yeah. Anyway, and apparently it's supposed to
no hail damage.
Yeah, update, no hail damage.
My neighbor was like, Reboot's not even worth calling insurance on this one. That's what he told me. He pulled up next to me while I was walking. I was like, thanks, man.
Yeah, but, we got it all covered over here. And it's supposed to rain tonight.
Oh, are we looking at,
no hail.
Is there a basement here?
Nope. Sure isn't. No, this is Texas. Listen, I don't feel like there's a lot of basements in Texas.
When we're in home health, we need an emergency preparedness plan. Mm-hmm. As a podcast, I'm expecting you to come up with emergency preparedness.
Okay, I can do that. I think, yeah. Number one, get the fuck out is like the number one thing we're gonna do.
Just read.
And then quick little caveat because I watch Good Morning America, and then the local news comes on during the Good Morning America break. And what happened this weekend, and that they were preparing for literally all week. Last week was the coronation.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God! Like the coverage they had on this damn coronation of what's his face?
You can see King
Charles.
King Charles X. Shit.
Yeah. So that was like so interesting because they had like so much coverage on it and the drama that they were like talking about, and like the American Good Morning America team that was there.
Was Michael Strahan there?
Michael Strahan and
they sent him everywhere.
The blonde white lady who
had a broken foot.
All healed now, just in time for London.
Yeah.
And they went, and I found that they were making such low-key fun of the whole thing. Isn't like it? every time, like say, welcome back to Good Morning America. And I'm like,
welcome back to Good Morning America.
And then all she was doing was just like waving, like how the queen would wave like this. And then they were just like eye rolling the whole time. And then they also talked about like the hats and the fashion. They had a whole segment on like freaking fashion for this coronation. And there was just like, and then Michael Strahan had a lot of undertone about how this is all some bullshit about like, these white people European, still in rule.
What do they do all day? Like, what do you think the king is doing right now?
I don't know. He's old.
He's probably asleep, right?
He's old.
Like, what's the point of them anymore?
I don't know. I truly don't know. I'm not that well versed in all of that, but it was such a spectacle. It was like, and so much money went into it. They had said like $170 something million just for that day took place. Jeez. And like that they had to hand sew all of their like gowns, things that they wore, the crowns, the tufts. They had to redo like the carriage because it's been so long since they've had to do this.
Yeah. The extent of my knowledge with the British Empire is from the Hindi movie Lagan. how India won its independence. It's a fictional movie, I think. How India won its independence through the game of cricket.
You've made me watch this movie. It was good.
And no, you didn't watch it.
Yeah, I remember.
No respect for the cricketeers.
I remember this cricket movie. Yeah,
but yeah, and that's all I know.
Let's not get started about that.
About cricket?
No, about India and Great Britain.
Oh my gosh.
That's
all I'm gonna say.
So, anyways, that was pretty crazy on the Senora front for me. Ribbon, back to your sports update. What do you have for us?
So, pretty much in the world of sports, we're dealing with pretty much the NBA playoffs right now. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of good series. This is probably everyone's real tight. All the series are real close. Today's Miami and New York and Lakers and Golden State, which is a really good series as well. Mm-hmm. But other than that, not much on the sports front coming to mind. However, last night, Jokic, you know what team Jokic plays for?
Dallas Mavericks.
He's not even. Dallas Mavericks not even in the playoffs. I think you meant to say Denver Nuggets.
Oh, right. He carries that team, apparently.
Correct.
I saw it on TikTok.
Yes. And Matt Ishbia, the owner of the...
What'd you call me?
Matt Ishbia, the owner of the... What team does he own in the NBA?
Denver Nuggets.
What team is Denver playing against?
Don't freaking tell me. Don't tell me, Ribu.
Do you not pay attention to my sports updates?
Phoenix Suns.
Correct.
Devin Booker.
They got into a little altercation, Jokic and Ishbia. So today we're kind of waiting to see what's the fallout from it.
What's the argument about?
So the ball went into the stands, happened to go to the owner, mm-hmm. and the owner was holding onto the ball. Jokic was trying to pull it away. I guess the owner kind of touches him, and some fans touch him. Jokic gets the ball and kind of shoves the owner to sit.
I can't do that.
And in the world we're living in, everybody's included. You can't be pushing people.
Yeah,
but you can't be touching people's balls at the same time. So what's the limit? That's the gray area.
We shall see. I did see an update. LeBron's kid, Bronny. Uh-huh. Did he sign to USC, or was that something that I dreamt of? That's pretty cool. That's all I know.
That's pretty cool. I don't know.
So is he guaranteed into the NBA at this point? Like we're going, huh? We just got to go to college first.
Well, I think not only because he's LeBron's son, but he's actually pretty good. They say.
Yeah, he's good.
Did you watch him?
Yeah, I see him on TikTok. That's where I get all my sports stuff.
He's supposed to be good. And have you seen his middle son Bryce? How tall he is?
Yes,
6'6".
Yeah, they're very athletic for sure.
He's the only LeBron's kids are the only ones I remember getting this much hype. Well, I think Gigi was. So.
Wait a minute. Did you see that TikTok I sent to you today?
Yeah.
Oh,
that was so random.
Time out. So random. I clicked one TikTok video, or I liked one basketball video, and now, of course, that's all.
Okay, let me explain to you. So, from
go ahead.
Somebody who watches sports, I mean, this person is just putting out TikTok that just to get views. But Liv, sends it to me as if she believes it.
I do. I think it makes a ton of sense.
And describe what the TikTok was now.
So I'm scrolling, getting my typical morning news, and breaking news is that Jimmy Butler's father, long lost father, could potentially be Michael Jordan. And they put in all the puzzle pieces, the missing links as to why he could be Jimmy Butler's father. And it made sense to me.
These links were so spread apart. Like, they were saying Jimmy Butler mom abandoned him at 13 years old.
Yeah.
And they were saying Michael Jordan supposedly has a kid that he had with a different woman.
Right.
And was paying child support, but it was only guaranteed to pay child support for 13 years. Mm-hmm. And so that's a link.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense to me. They did a side-by-side of like how they look.
They kind of look alike.
They look alike. Yeah. And everybody in the comments was like, well, based on how he's been playing, totally believable. Yeah. He's been killing it.
I mean, who knows? I'm sure Michael Jordan had kids with plenty of people.
Yeah, and I'm sure one of them made it to the NBA. Those are some
me and
serious
Michael, we're
genes.
probably housing 100 kids.
Okay, yeah, with your sperm everywhere in Texas.
Houston. Hey, by the way, I should add that to the list of things. Banked. If you, what was my thing before? Like, if you give us something, you can come to my infusion. You can have a little bit of my sperm.
And you can have Karen and Brenda.
And we'll throw in the 26-inch tires.
That's what it was, which I still need to.
Like, subscribe, comment.
Okay, so today's episode, we're getting into some more C words. We talked about CEO, of course, cancer being the big one. We'll update you there. Couple, and today's 2 C words are going to be career and corporate.
And I'm adding in.
Go ahead.
Champion.
Yes, because somebody is a champion. So yeah, we'll get into that. But first, let's get into our first segment, peaks and pits. Obviously, do you want to go first with your peak?
You know what? Let me finish. Let me go last.
Dang it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you want to do? Okay. Let me do my peak.
Yeah.
So my peak is I have been getting a nice little wave of brand partnerships. They tend to always come in waves. It's so strange that they just like all the emails
all talk to each other,
flood into each other, and then they all just show up in my inbox. So that's been really exciting. I've been meeting with some exciting potential brands, want to work together, et cetera, et cetera. I love working with brands. And this goes into our topic today of like career and corporate, because this was so new to me when I first started my career in social media. When brands would reach out to me via email, their tone was so corporate. Yeah. Like they were like, hi, and they had all the abbreviations that I had to like quickly kind of learn, and how to like respond to them via email was interesting. And like meeting on Zooms, and everybody just like gets on Zooms and hops on calls, and that was just very new to me. So I've been really loving it, and they're just coming in waves. And I just landed one today. I don't know if I told you. I think I told John. Yes.
How'd it go?
It went well. It was really good. Should
I quit my job?
Not yet. But yeah, these are like, it was really cool. So I'm excited to see kind of where that takes us into this next quarter. What are we in? May? Yeah. So that's why
you mean Q3?
Why it typically kind of like comes in waves. I feel like the first quarter of the year is like, they don't have any budget, and the end of the year, they don't really have any budget. So these two are like pretty significant, and that's probably why they come in waves. I just like realized that.
Are you over how formal the emails come in? Like it's easier to reply to now?
It's less intimidating. It's easier to reply to for sure. Yeah. And
hey, this is Olivia. How do you start your emails?
How do I start it?
Like if a brand sends you an email, what do you start? Hey, good morning, or like?
No,
hey.
I say like, hi, thank you for reaching out. And then if they're asking me, you always are wanting to say like, yeah, I'd love to hop on a call, or like, what's your calendar look like? Let's put something in the books, if you will. Is a good one. Yeah. And so that's like not natural for me at all, because a couple of years ago, I was just like talking to patients and like other therapists and stuff. So, and it was like,
it's like a different approach.
It's just completely different. And they were like, and then I've been in the talks with another brand, and they were talking about like ROI and like market budget and just a lot of like terms, distribution stuff, conversions, blah, blah, blah.
They asked you for all that stuff, right?
No, just when we were kind of like having a meeting and talking. So that's just been really interesting.
I have a word of advice for you when you go to your meeting. Just don't get whipped cream in your coffee. Just don't get whipped cream in your coffee, and that might break the deal there.
Whatever, bro. That totally broke the last deal.
Has she even reached out to you? She probably has you saved in her phone like Olivia.
She's like, do not reach out to this person again. She cannot order a proper latte. She thinks she's 5 ordering a latte with sprinkles. Yeah. So anyways, that was my peak. Lots of exciting things working with these crazy brands, which is so nice. So that's my peak.
Yeah.
What's yours?
I don't know how to put this, guys, but I'm a 2-time champion, and this weekend was tough. A lot of training. How many miles did I run the past couple of weeks? What would you say?
I mean, at least like 1.
Yeah, I probably a cumulative 0 miles. Didn't lift 1 weight. But that's what champions do. It's the heart of a champion that makes a champion.
Right.
And did I play great? No. Did my partner play amazing? He sure did. But was I along for the ride? Yes.
Did you even say what you're talking about?
No, that's what I'm building up to.
Okay,
I feel like people pay more attention. Is it suspenseful so far?
Yeah.
So the GCI Gulf Coast Invitational. Remember, guys, you have the Masters and then you have the Gulf Coast Invitational.
Right.
Those 2 are pretty high up there. And that was this past weekend in Rockport Country Club, a very exclusive country club. And it was about 8 of us there. No, was it? Yeah, about 8 of us there. And it was me and my partner, Ethan.
Mm-hmm. Shout out Ethan.
It's a 2-man scramble. And we just ran away with it. And there were some people who were hurt, but that's part of it.
Right.
I got cancer.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And
how hurt are you? Yeah, I have cancer. Right.
And so I played, I think what was really good about it was Ethan was pretty much on point the whole day. Mm-hmm. And I was able to add in.
Yeah, assist, you
know what I mean? It may not be Jordan.
Right.
But I could be a little bit Scotty.
Right. That's Pippin, that is.
Pimpin. Scotty Pimpin. And so, yes, so we won. And then this is actually the second one. I have 3 trophies here to manifest the third one.
Excuse me? You have 3 trophies to manifest the third one?
Yeah. So I won 2.
Oh, okay.
I'm manifesting the
third one. I see.
And so...
Because you didn't know you won in 2018.
No, I mean, don't know where you heard that from.
Yeah.
But I forgot I won 2018.
You forgot.
I forgot I won 2018. So they reminded me. But 2018 champion, should have won last year, didn't, won this year, and I'm looking to repeat next year.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah.
How does it feel like legit? Like, I'm being serious.
Yeah.
How does it feel to win and to play something so laborious with cancer?
Is laborious the right word?
I think so. Like labor intensive.
Yeah. It was actually really fun.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why I didn't think, like, I really enjoyed winning this year. I think because I lost it last year. So like winning this year is really fun. Like we won to the point where on the 13th hole, we already knew we were going to win.
Yeah. You didn't want to jinx it.
Yeah, you didn't want to jinx it. But in my head, I was like, wow, like I'm actually winning something.
Yeah.
I've played in multiple tournaments, and how many tournaments do you think I played in my life? Basketball, golf, football?
Thousands.
Probably thousands. And I've probably come away with 4 championships. 4 out of 1,000 is not a lot. It's not a good, a lot of second place finishes, majority less. So like when I win something, it's like.
Yeah, and you're very competitive too. So like it must have been nice to win.
Yeah. And so like to win it was fun.
And like how's the weather there?
The weather was great. It was very humid, mosquitoes everywhere.
Oh God.
And it got very hot. But I mean, it's golf weather.
And your asthma was good.
That asthma was not showing. I brought it with me. I haven't taken my nebulizer or anything the past almost week.
Dang, that's huge. That's huge.
So yeah, I felt really good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, would you like to do your pit?
Yes, my pit, and I always talk about insurance, but my pit so far is May 1st, I had to switch to Aetna for my new job. And before I switched over, I made sure with Aetna and with MD Anderson, everything's in network. And I was like, yeah, it's in network. The moment I got my insurance card, I sent it over to MD Anderson. And for some reason, we are in network, but MD Anderson is not going to honor it in network. They're going to honor it as out of network. I don't know. So if y'all know anybody in the financial place, let me know.
It's ridiculous. I don't understand why insurance is so freaking difficult.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
Like I have insurance.
It's Aetna.
Yeah.
Like who does it? It's like a huge insurance.
But it's not Aetna though. Aetna's really, I mean, in this situation,
that's true. Opposite. Yeah. Well, in my head, like MD Anderson saying like, oh, it's Aetna. Yeah, done. Right.
Yeah.
And then it's like some specific part of your plan is out of network for MD Anderson Cancer Center.
Yeah, and so it's like,
it's so annoying.
It didn't make sense. Like Aetna was like, no, we're in network. And so they and this is pretty nice. Aetna directly called like the person I'm dealing with at Aetna, who's like consistently so far has been helping me, directly called the, MD Anderson.
Right.
And they said something weird, and Aetna was like, okay, we're going to work on trying to get a one-off deal, which I emailed them today, and they said they're still working on it. Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. It's just freaking insurance, man. It's a thorn in our side. Like, and we knew, like, we were kind of anticipating you starting this new job with new insurance. Is we're going to try and make it go as smooth as possible and like cross our T's and dot our I's. And we knew something was going to like, we knew it.
Like when I sent the insurance card over, I was like, perfect. Edna's here. I'm going to send it over.
Yeah.
And they got back with me the same day, and they were like, this whole explanation, you're tier 2, so we're tier 3 here, and you're tier XYZ, so we're going to XYZ you.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to pay $18,000 instead of $6,000 out of pocket. And I was like, you're just stating it like I have $18K to hand over to you.
Right. Full, like, not in payment plans, just like upfront.
And then I know you helped call too, and everyone was like, yes, and I was like, yeah, you're a network. We don't know what they're talking about.
I literally, because Rib was out of town and in like a lot of meetings, he's like, can you call for me? I was like, yeah, sure, absolutely. So I'm calling Aetna, or I called MD Anderson, and they're like, his particular plan, because it has this freaking word in it.
Yeah.
And it has a specific hospital branch. MD Anderson is not like, this is Baptist, MD Anderson's UT Health, blah, 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 sorry.
But when you look up online,
but Aetna, you look it up, and then so I call Aetna, and they're like, yeah, we've never heard. Like, what are they talking about? And then that took me like 65 hours, literally. That was that day I needed to have a drink.
Yeah.
Because I was so stressed, because I was like, we have no insurance at this point. Like, we literally waited to get insurance because your other insurance was like this tiny like boutique insurance, and now we have Aetna, and we're like, yeah, hell yeah, we have Aetna. And then of course there's something that
it's like they're like, you have this wording, like you said, is in network, but then they added this word on top of it, whole health.
I know. Now it's I'm like, well, can you take it off?
Just delete it.
Yeah, just backspace that out.
Ain't nobody seen that?
Yeah, come on, please. He has cancer. Yeah, they were like, is this an outpatient procedure? I was like, I don't know what the hell chemo is considered, but it's chemo. Like, he needs cancer. He needs it to save his life. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about?
So you're sitter.
It was ridiculous. Anyway, so that's a good pit.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens.
My pit is, thanks for asking.
Is your pit?
This is my pit. So John and I produced a masterclass.
Yeah, that's right. What happened with it?
Right? A crawling masterclass. So this is inside exclusive for if you're watching and your baby isn't crawling, or you have family member, friend, sister whose baby isn't crawling or struggling with crawling or have questions about crawling. I made you this amazing, I wouldn't even call it a masterclass. A lot of work put into it. Yeah. I'm trying to steer away from the word masterclass because
what are you calling it?
Well, I'm calling it a 7-day crawling workout plan.
Gotcha. 7
days, you do the things they tell you to do, and you'll make good progress towards crawling, right? So I've done masterclasses before, and they require a lot of script writing because they're all delivered via video, right? So I was a little rusty. So John and I knocked out a lot of the like physicality of crawling, right? And I was like feeling great, right? It was like 12 p.m. and we wrapped all of like the physical how to crawl stuff. Yeah. And he's like, okay, let's go back to the studio and we'll do all the talking stuff. And I'm like, done. Like, this isn't going to take long. Please, done. And I literally had to repeat myself probably 10 times per line of the script. Like, literally, I don't know why. I'm so rusty with that, because when I make content, it's just like me talking.
Like, you couldn't read the script?
Yeah. John was like, Olivia, just say like, hi guys, it's Dr. Olivia. Welcome to my 7-day crawling masterclass. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. And I'm like reading the script, and I look at the camera, and John's there like, you got it. And
you couldn't do it?
I couldn't do it. I was like, hi guys. And I kept like fumbling my words. Oh, it was awful. Olivia. I was like stuttering. I would you know, because it's like more scripted.
Yeah.
You have to say it in one shot. You can't like stop and cut. It just will flow better when you're saying it in one shot. Yeah. So there's probably like 2 to 3 paragraphs of nothing crazy, of like a script that you're supposed to say. 65 hours it took me to say that damn thing.
Did you finish it?
We finished because we were going to shoot. So that was
before
that was before the podcast. So I got to John's place to do in his like apartment center thingy,
leasing office,
which is really a nice setup. Got there probably like 9, 10. Wrapped that at 12 because I didn't have to talk, and I was feeling so.
That happens when you get too hyped sometimes.
I got a Starbucks. I was feeling good.
That's what always happens.
I had all my caffeine. I was ready, and John's like, "We just have to knock out the script part." I'm like, "Duh, John, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I am ready." And then he's like, "Okay, let's begin." And I was like, "Hi, welcome to my." I just kept messing it up, and it was so embarrassing.
That's what happens. I was so rusty. Get, like too high sometimes from something. I feel like
I was on a high because I was like, we were ahead of schedule, and I was feeling really good about it, and then it just bit me in the butt.
So did you finish everything?
We finished literally like we were gonna shoot the pod at 5:30. We probably finished at like 5.
When's the masterclass dropping?
I don't know. We just got a rendering of it. It looks real good.
Rendered.
Yeah, it's gonna be concise, quick to the point, and it's gonna get your baby like making some good progress with crawling.
That's what we really need here.
I took a poll on my Instagram with all of my followers, and I was like, "Do you want?" Because everybody's always asking me about crawling questions. I'm like, "Do you want something that you have to read about what crawling is, why it's helpful, developmentally appropriate, what's going on in your brain when you're trying to crawl? Do you want to know what crawling is, blah, blah, blah? Like, do you want to read a lot, or do you want
visual, quick
fast visuals of like how to help?
Dusty, musty, crusty.
Right. How to help your baby crawl. And like a huge percentage was like, I want that. So we made something super quick, super like efficient. These exercises I've done with thousands of patients.
Throw it up on OnlyFans.
I know we are looking for a platform to drop it. I
always said, could I put my toes on OnlyFans?
Babe, I saw another TikTok. This boy put his feet
on
OnlyFans. $100,000 in 1 month. In 1 month for putting his feet pics.
What are we doing
on OnlyFans, baby? I don't know.
Like,
OnlyFans is not just for like sexual stuff.
Yeah,
it's literally just like a subscription based platform.
Sure,
that you can put stuff on.
How many Indian feet do you think are on OnlyFans? Not many.
I mean, you don't know. OnlyFans is a global thing.
If you want to see a lot of feet, nobody comment, or subscribe.
Baby, nobody would
comment with the foot emoji, brown one.
Put it down.
Or what about your feet? Nice feet.
I'm good. No, that's one thing I always tell John. I'm like, if I'm demonstrating crawling, don't get my feet. Okay, we're not getting free pics here.
What if you knew
I intentionally wore socks to that crawling masterclass, so ain't nobody looking at my toes.
What if there was a guarantee we would get paid?
Like $100,000 a month. This boy just put his crusty feet on his thing.
What if that was a guarantee? Like you would get paid that much?
I think I would consider it.
You would just consider it
behind a paywall for sure.
I'll put my ass on that thing. $100,000 a month.
Gosh, what else you want?
I'll show my tattoos that I got from radiation.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. So lucrative.
Yeah,
but where's the longevity in that? You know what I'm saying? But
what do you mean? Your toes are gonna stick around?
Just get your. I mean, but. Maybe they want
can you imagine people probably like every stage of your feet and how it ages? People probably watch them.
It's like they're growing, you're growing with them, right?
They're like, we've seen this. They're
aging
in 30 years.
So we want to see like an aged foot as well. Exactly. They really become attached to foot. I don't know what it is about feet. I don't know. I had one DM a long time ago when I was doing a lot of stuff with
that was me.
No, it wasn't. I wish it was you. It was some gross
just kidding
man. And that's why I'm like so paranoid about my feet on the internet.
Oh, did you see your feet?
Yes, because I used to before I had Julian, I used to use Prince Carlos, which is my doll, who I would demonstrate all these activities with. Yeah. And you had to do a lot of it on the floor. And I wasn't thinking, I was just recording in my house, shooting like a crawling video. and I was barefoot, and some guy DM'd me this nasty thing about like, I like your feet. How, like, he didn't ask how much, but he just kept talking about my feet.
Yeah.
And it wasn't on Instagram, it was on TikTok. Like, and like TikTok's that reached like millions of followers or millions of people. And like
do you think when guys DM that to girls, they are just being funny, or they're like, I think I'm gonna get a reply?
I think they're serious. I don't know what it is about feet. It's creepy, man. It's creepy.
Or like any DM.
Yeah, I've had some creepy ones. Or not creepy, but like just...
I haven't had any. Huh. I would like some creepy DMs.
Interesting. You can have some of mine.
Well, I don't want guys.
Oh, you want girls?
Creepy ones. Wouldn't that be like, oh man, I'm doing something right in life?
Well...
Like, do you think the correlation of creepy DMs equals...
Success?
Success.
I don't know. I've had my fair share. I've had somebody in my DMs ask if I want to be their sugar baby.
We said no.
I think I told you. And in my head, I don't know if I responded to be funny. Sugar baby, for those who don't know, they would... Oh, this is what it was. They were like, do you want to be my sugar baby? No, nothing but just taking you out on like a couple of dates a month, checking in, having phone calls, whatever, nothing else, right? And then in my head, I was like, damn, I wonder how much he's like willing to pay. Not that I'll ever do it, but I'm like, and also, who says yes to this over DMs? But then I think a lot of people do. I really do. Yeah, that's how they get started. He wanted to be my little sugar daddy.
That's crazy.
I said, I already got one thing.
That's right. I get her to McDonald's. I got her some pizza yesterday.
But it's a little creepy out there in the space of social media on the DMs.
But in the masterclass is not going on OnlyFans. But
anyways, yeah. So look out for my masterclass. It will be completely on a well-received platform.
And child-friendly.
Child-friendly. Yeah. Help your baby crawl. Nothing else. Yeah. Nothing less. Yeah. But, anyways, let's move on. So let's get into let's just talk about where you were last week. This kind of goes into our 2 C words: career, so like corporate. Go ahead.
You know, when you're traveling, you have a list of places you want to go.
Right.
Right. Like, name 2 states you would like to see.
States?
Yeah, states you like to go to.
New York and Cali.
New York, Cali, right?
Classic.
Like, I've been in New York. We've been a little bit in Cali.
Yeah.
Went to Louisiana.
Sure.
And like maybe Florida.
Right. And like the Tennessee, nice attractions there. Like popular.
Maybe we have a friend, Jeremy, going to Georgia, Savannah. And stuff like that. Like, that's where I'm gonna go to.
Yeah.
But on my list, I never just thought I would be going to Idaho, and that's where I was. Nothing wrong with Idaho.
Eagle, Idaho. Huh?
The problem with Idaho is you just don't think of Idaho.
Did we both have to look up where Idaho was on a map? Yeah, we did.
I thought Idaho was below or right next to Nevada. Wait, is it?
No. Yes. Idaho borders Oregon.
If you're listening to this,
and you're from Idaho,
okay, if you're listening to this, pull up what's next to Idaho. If you're listening to this, just think right now the states you think are next to Idaho.
What? Yeah. What do you got?
Yeah. What do you think?
And you're probably freaking wrong.
Tell them, Liv.
Okay, so to the east, we have Oregon. Excuse me, Joe? Okay, Mr. Know-It-All.
That's because he's a hoe.
We have to the east, Oregon. We have to the... I'm sorry. That's not the east. Shit.
Yeah, what is...
To the west, we have Oregon.
Yeah.
Damn, okay. To the northeast, we have Montana. Mm-hmm. To the direct east, we have Wyoming. To the south, Nevada, Utah.
Nothing to the northwest?
Northwest is like Montana. It's a funky shaped state.
Oh my God. Yeah, Idaho's shaped like a... How do you describe it?
Isosceles triangle.
Isosceles?
We're really just killing. Yeah, and then Washington's up there too. So like I had no idea. Yeah. I thought it was more Midwest.
But no, Midwest is like Ohio. Isn't Midwest described as Ohio? I've been hearing that a lot recently.
I don't know, but I don't want to dig myself deeper in that.
Anyways, I was in Idaho for trading, and I had to go from SA to Denver. Denver has a nice airport. Mm-hmm. To Boise.
Right.
And all I remember from Boise is like their college has the blue field.
Okay.
Anyways, we got into Boise, and when you're flying in, you see I didn't know, so I asked some lady next to me. I was like, what mountains are those? She's like, those are the Rockies, son. was like, God damn, those are the damn Rockies. Where Coors Lot was made.
Honestly, would have never guessed the Rockies were over there.
Yeah, and so when I landed in Boise, I was asking the Uber driver, I was like, what mountains are these? He's like, son, these are the beginning of the Rockies. Isn't that where Coors Light is made?
Yeah.
In the Rockies?
The Blue Mountain.
The Blue Mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody who's drinking Bud Light, keep drinking it. I have no problem with you. Coors Light is out there. So I was in Boise, and I'm training right now for my job. So they, took us out to Eagle, Idaho? Eagle, Idaho. I was like, where was I? Eagle, Idaho. And it was great. Training was cool. I met a lot of people.
What was it training for? This was what?
This was for so it's CEO in training and pretty much getting you ready to know how to financially, culturally, clinically, and, develop in the community and how to develop your home health and hospice. Yeah. How to take over one and be successful from day one. And so the cool part too was in my group, usually it's new people that are in there, but we had a lot of individuals who were with the company 10 plus years.
It was great. So you got a lot of insight, got to pick a lot of their brains and learn a lot. Yeah,
it was a very enjoyable experience. We were also at a nice hotel, Hilton, but next door was a restaurant. And we go to the restaurant. It's not that great of a restaurant. So don't go to Bardenay if you're out there.
Okay.
But when I was in the restaurant, you're just eating, and I look to my left, and there's 2 Indian girls there. And I'm like, I did not expect to see Indian people in Eagle.
That is fascinating. Yeah, you were really so pleased.
I was pleased. I was like, we're expanding.
we're making it up north, west, I guess.
Yeah. We're one by one. We're taking over Idaho, Montana.
Yeah. I know. I forget Montana's up there too. And that makes me think of Yellowstone, the show.
That was a training. And how long was I gone for?
You left
3 days, right?
When did you leave? Monday?
Yeah, Monday to Wednesday.
Wednesday.
That was a long time to be away from home.
Yes.
But
I know that felt like a long time.
Yeah, it felt like a long time.
Sunday to Wednesday?
Monday to Wednesday. But yeah, it was a long time. And I was really nervous in the airport because I took so many chemo drugs with me and
oh my God, we were like, what happens if you get stopped at security? Because that wouldn't be the first time you've been stopped because of the way you look. And
I stopped one time.
And then they confiscate all of your drugs.
Yeah.
And so I was just so nervous, and we were packing up all of your meds in the appropriate bottles, but make the prescription up to date, the whole thing. You have your pamphlet, your book of chemo that I was like, please, Lord Jesus, just if they take anything,
left this brother through.
Don't take that. All your inhalers.
Yeah, all my inhalers.
Your nebulizer, the solution for the nebulizer.
That's the most I had to take 2 bags. That's the most ever.
Yeah. But they didn't. They let you in really easily.
Yeah. One of the interesting things we did was the personality test.
Yes, which I think is really indicative of a lot for good teamwork skills. I can't remember the name of the test.
It's called the predictive index. I think you could do it one thing for free online or something.
Yeah.
But it pretty much goes over the type of individual you are. And I would say a lot of it is kind of accurate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we read over yours. I would say so.
Yeah, I would say so. They called me the promoter, which is a casual, uninhibited, and persuasive extrovert with the tendency for informality.
Yep.
And pretty much the same. Cool.
And I feel like that's interesting because I wouldn't say that you are inherently extroverted, but you can be in specific roles. Yeah. In your work role,
I want to be introvert.
Yeah, I think your natural state is to be a little bit more introverted.
Yeah.
But then I don't know, because I was looking up introverted tendencies, and I don't necessarily think you are. I think you're just more of a reserved, quiet extrovert.
Yeah.
But I think for specifically in the role you are as when you were formerly director, and now kind of in these more higher up roles, I think you just become a little bit more extroverted.
One thing that I thought was interesting was they said relatively unconcerned about details and often inclined to consider them unimportant. This individual expresses themselves in general terms, and I was like, oh, that's kind of true.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think you're a big picture guy for sure, and I think you know how to delegate to people who are more detail oriented, which is why you have always gotten along with detail oriented people, because y'all play well off of each other. Yeah. Like type A people you do really well with, like you know how to work with them and stuff. So that test, I love tests like that.
Yeah, you made me take one when we first started dating.
I did the I think it's called the Enneagram.
Oh, okay.
Where it's your personality type.
What was yours?
Mine is, I'm a number 9, the peacekeeper.
That's right.
And then you're a number 2, the helper.
Yeah, what is that one? I felt like kind of lame being a helper.
No, I think it was more so at the forefront of like you just like helping people for sure, but like helping with projects. You like getting everybody to the same point, and you like really working as like a team and helping the weakest link really rise to the top.
Kind of like the GCI championship.
I mean, yeah.
Could be.
Pretty much.
What's the other one? We talked about this last time.
What?
The love language. Love language is different though. It's not like a test.
Is it? I feel like it's a good test.
Quality touch.
Nope. Quality of time. Physical touch.
Quality touch.
Yeah, I like all of those stuff. And I feel like taking these tests, we had to take a test similar to this when we got into PT school.
Yeah.
It was like your color.
Was that the Briggs-Myers?
Oh, maybe. And it was like, what color are you? There's orange, blue, gold, green.
Yeah.
There's more like a little analytical, more like bookwormy, and then there's more like of the competitive, extroverted, outward stuff, and then there's like the researcher, things like that. But I like those because I think it's good to know where people's like natural state are and like how you can work together. Because if you're thinking like everybody's extroverted, or you're thinking everybody is a go-getter or a promoter, then that's just like really detrimental to everybody else you work with.
Yeah.
So I think it's important. And I think it's important to accept everybody else's personality.
There's some people who are mavericks, who are just like completely independent with everything, and or tend to be more independent with everything. So it's kind of interesting seeing everyone else's.
Yeah. I can't remember the one, the analyzer, I think was one.
Analyzer.
Yeah. And then there were some other ones that I think are really indicative of like, I think you have to have a lot of different ones to have a really good comprehensive little team.
Overview yourself.
Yeah, no, of a team. Like you need an analyzer, you need a maverick, you need a promoter, but you have to learn how to work together with all of them. You know what I'm saying?
That's pretty good.
I really think that.
Do you run a company or something?
No, but if I did, I think I would make everybody take a test like this.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
For sure. And then you know what else I would do? I would definitely put everybody in a room and give them a conflict, a whiteboard, a marker, and say, solve it together. And I would just observe like in the mirrored window. And I would just observe them and see how
you would have a two-way
window. Yes. Two-way mirror. They would know, of course, with consent, but I would just see how they all solve a problem. Because I think when you're in this type of higher up career, you have to have people who know how to solve conflict and how to receive feedback.
So like, I feel like in that situation, right? I feel like I would be like the more quieter one.
And that's okay. I'm not necessarily looking for somebody to solve the problem. I'm looking to see how they're working together in harmony. Like, for example, if we're trying to solve a problem and somebody is just like on their phone being like, oh, this is stupid. Yeah. And they're like scrolling. You wouldn't do that. You would be for sure more quiet, but you wouldn't excuse yourself.
If they're not engaged.
Yeah. I understand people are more shy initially. People are like, they're the self-starter. They're the ones who are like taking the reins off of and from the get-go. There's the one who wants to write everything down, which is why you have the marker and the dry erase board. They're the ones who take the notes, the note taker. And I think it's important to see how everybody kind of like responds to that.
You should make this a test.
I should. And then at the end of it, I'm going to have everybody
kill each other.
I'm going to have everybody sit in along the table, and then everybody's going to go and give everybody else feedback. What you did.
Sound like a PT school.
Yeah, I remember doing that, something similar in PT school. And I think it's very indicative of how you are and you work as a team.
Okay. Fortune 500 companies we got.
I think it's important. Wouldn't you say? What do you think is important in an employee?
I think harmony is important.
Give me 5. I wrote this down. Give me 5 words to describe a quality employee.
I always like the hungry, humble, smart.
Hungry, humble, smart.
Humble.
What did I say?
Like I said, humble.
Hungry, humble, smart.
Yeah. Let's see. Collaborative.
Okay. That's a good one.
And sociable.
Sociable. That's a good one too.
How about you?
I would say hungry for sure. I know. And that literally was what I wrote
We're
down.
pretty hungry right now.
It's a good one. I know. I'm like, what are we going to order for dinner? Yeah. No, I think intelligent for sure. Hungry, intelligent.
Smart. Yeah, that's what I said.
I think, what is it?
2 is good.
2 is good. I think they need to be able to resolve things by themselves. Mm-hmm. I think they need to be self-starters. And I think they need to be able to take criticism appropriately. Yeah. Because you know how some people are like, oh, you're so charming, you're so charismatic and like kind and all of these things. It's like, yeah, okay, but what is that in terms of an employee? Like when the tough gets going, how is that going to like be effective at work? You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of like hiring employees, I remember one time I was working at this place called Guardian Angels Healthcare.
Dang. Shout out.
And I was like helping as their director of therapy. And I remember I walked into the building one day. I've been there so many times. And there was this lady I've never met before they just hired. Speaking of hiring people.
Yeah.
And she just got hired. She must be feeling good. And I say, hi, how are you doing? You meet somebody like, hey, how are you doing? And sometimes the conversation doesn't go too far. And they're like, doing good. I'm like, well, it's nice to meet you. And I turn and I'm talking to someone else. And I hear someone like in my ear talking to me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, is this lady talking to me? Because I wasn't even looking at her. And I turn and she's talking to me, but in some language. Never heard it in my life. And she's looking at me like, I'm sure it's Hindi, but she's just looking at me like speaking, this white lady speaking like probably fluent Hindi to me.
Right.
She's like, Kalhono, that's the only movie I know, Kalhono, like whatever. And I'm like, I don't know what you're saying to me. She's like, oh my goodness. She's like, can't believe this. And she just walked out.
Yeah. And that's an HR issue right there.
And I've never seen her again.
Yeah. Because
But
I feel like you can't.
That's so weird.
Yeah, you can't be doing that. You can't. That's very assumptive. You can't be. You can't be doing that. Going up to a brown person speaking one of the many languages in their culture and expecting them to know.
But I'm like, what happened in that hiring process? No, I'm sure she was a great person, but that was just interesting. Like she felt that comfortable.
Give me the worst. You've had to hire and fire a lot of people. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Say yes.
Not a good amount.
I
don't fire everybody.
What you fired many people. No, but give me the worst firing story.
Like the worst person.
Mm-hmm. There's one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I think it was a person who
his name was John. Just kidding.
I think one of the worst one was where he was just like stealing money, not like directly.
That's a big one.
But he was like clocking in, and he would clock in. He would go get breakfast on the clock, like have a great time, go get breakfast.
Like not on campus.
And sometimes he would just go and come back and get food, but he had a routine.
Right.
He would come in early. He came in like 7, clock in, get breakfast. I would come in around like 8:30, 9, and like not really do anything till like 9:30.
Like treat patients
till like 9:30, and then he would like treat here and there, and then like leave really early. Mm-hmm. And he was doing it for a while, a little bit of time when I was there until I let him go. But that was like the worst one. The craziest story I ever heard was we had a consultant come by and she told me, this is in like some other state. This girl, so 2 stories. This girl was in another state. They're doing like consulting work with this therapy group. And this therapist, for some reason, throughout the day would always leave. Mm-hmm. And they're like, where is she going to? But she would always be on the clock. Mm-hmm. And so they followed her. And there was like this building, new part of the building they were, working with. And there was a closet in there. And she would always go to that closet. And one day, she went to the closet, left. So they went behind her and opened the closet. There was a TV. There was shelving with books. There was like a little bed to sleep on. Yeah, she was like legitimately just like taking breaks in there or whatever, eating snacks, like having a great time. With a TV? Yeah. Dang,
it was like a whole thing. On Netflix?
Yeah. And then there was one time for me, I had to fire someone where this is like my first month of working. So I get a call and they're like, your therapist just is wobbling around, running into the walls, and just fell on the floor and got up, wobbled to her car and left. And this is on a Friday night around like 8 or 9, which is odd for a therapist to come that late on a Friday. And so to follow up on Monday, I was trying calling, we sent letters, all this kind of stuff, never returned anything. So I'm not sure if she's on drugs or she's drunk.
Dang, that's insane.
Yeah, she was hungry. She got the hungry part of hungry. But that's crazy, right?
That is crazy. Employees are so weird, especially if not weird. I shouldn't say that. Like good employees are good employees, but bad ones are like so bad. Like I've had stories too of like therapists doing some crazy stuff too. Like just taking advantage, feeling really entitled. Like that guy who would come in and that you just said that like clocked in, went to freaking Mickey D's, got a sandwich, came back, still clocked in, and didn't treat till like 9. Yeah. Was there at like 7. That's crazy.
Crazy. Like what?
Because it doesn't make sense to be there that early because they're at a nursing home. Like your patient.
Well, patients are up. Like
that's true. They're up.
They're up, and they're like eating breakfast around that time too. But
so he's like, I'm gonna eat breakfast too.
I remember I would like when I started finding out what was going on. I would come early too, and I would walk the floor and talk to the nurses. Like, do you ever see this guy out treating? He's like, no one's really out here at this time. Like it's usually just us. And then I walk in the back and I see him eating, and I'm like, okay, like
the worst is when you see him like on the clock eating and like their phone's up watching like a show or something. I saw that too. Yeah.
Netflix.
And, like no shame.
I'm like, what the heck, dude? Like just come do your work. And
or like clock out. Yeah.
Now you got to be like weird about it.
Yeah. And just so weird. I feel so anyways, but I think when you have a good employee, you have to really nurture, foster that relationship and give them good roles and give them lots of praise. Yeah. And see if you can, if they're up for it, if you can keep like working with them to be better. And
financially treat them well too. Like everyone
compensate them.
Wants to be paid well. So like either be a incentive plan that makes them more motivated or you just compensate them in their salary or hourly where you're noticing.
Because it's like a quality at that point. I'd rather pay for quality over quantity type thing. Like if you're churning out all the time because you keep firing these people, you could have invested in a higher quality.
Like there's this thing we had to read called multipliers where they talk about A players and how bad companies turn A players into B players and eventually they leave the company. But you want the people who you bring in who are A players to turn into A+ players and be so great that they're too good to be in your company and get a better advantage. Yeah, like that's the whole point, right?
Right.
But I think so often we have these people who come in that are like not hungry, not humble.
And a lot of it is not because they're not skilled in whatever they are. If they're a PT assistant, an OT, a CODA, it's not because they don't know how to be a good CODA or PTA or whatever. It's more so the other factors that come into it, like punctuality, tardiness,
or like comfortable.
Or you just get too comfortable. It has typically never anything to do with like you are a bad clinician or you're a bad IT person. It never comes down to like their skill. It comes down to like how they act in a job. And if they've been there a long time, they tend to get so comfortable. Which, guilty. You settle into your role for sure. And you kind of know what works, what doesn't work. But like when you start taking advantage of all of that stuff, time. I mean,
he was probably he's been working there for like 8 years before I got there.
Yeah, so like, and probably nobody told him anything, and he just got away with it.
Yeah.
And it's more so like if you're like letting that go, then you're just losing money.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest difference from like being a medical person treating and actually being in management is. I feel like when you're like just a coworker, it's not like you don't look out for those things, but you're just doing you.
Yeah, because both of us coming from medical backgrounds as physical therapists, before we had both of these kind of career changes, you treat your patients, you write the note, you and then you leave.
Yeah, and you leave.
And then you like talk to other PTs, OTs, speech therapists, nurses, whatever. And that's it. Like your responsibility is your patient.
Yeah.
And and like kind of your customer is your patient. Like if you know how they're always like in corporate, the customer is right. Mm-hmm. And healthcare, it's like the patient is first at least.
Yeah.
Or like the
you know what's interesting about that is it's a complete opposite where I work now.
Yes, I know.
They always say the customer is second, which I think is interesting too, because I think if you hire this, I can see that, because if you do hire the right people and treat them right, they're always going to put that customer first.
Yeah, I agree. First. Yeah, for sure. I think so too.
But I think that's the biggest difference, being like a management level where you're looking at productivity and you're looking at like, how do we utilize these people and incorporate their life, and you know, hopefully they enjoy working too. But
yeah, I think it's hard to have a balance of like morale, company morale, focusing on culture there, keeping them productive, keeping them happy, making sure they're doing their job right, like you're profiting money. Like it's a hard dance to do.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it so far. That was probably the biggest challenge, was going between those two things. Starting
from medical to then having to like supervise a bunch of like a bunch of people who are medical, and that's all they want to do.
How about you going from therapist treating in the field to completely opposite? Because I don't think anyone's really doing.
And that was a big change for sure. That like going from treating babies all day and going to their houses and now not, and doing this full time has been a huge adjustment. And like I said, with my peak of working with brands and stuff has been so enlightening and interesting, but it's such a different world. This is more
the world of whipped cream.
The world of whipped cream, the world of corporate America, the world of budgets where it's like I can't get over how much money there is in the world. Like, I know that's so weird because we don't see that as medical clinicians. You get paid per patient, or you get paid salary or whatever. So like when I started making this my career, this is like a major career change. And started seeing like their budgets, what I could be making working with this brand, and then having to do like contracts and like the lingo, and then getting like legal involved, and then like deliverables and what they wanted, and like hopping on these calls and like all of these meetings. It's just so
having
different.
to come up with like master like creative things.
Yeah, and then not even being a career change, of more being like a business owner, like more so this is now something I can do. The sky is the limit in terms of financially how much I can make. That sounds pretentious, but I'm not capped at being a physical therapist, which we've talked about before. So it's like working with these brands and then putting out like content or things for people to buy, like these masterclasses that will hopefully, help people and in turn be lucrative for me, is something that I thought, one, I would never be doing. And then two, it's crazy because you have to like really change, which I'm sure you did too. You have to really like shift your brain. I mean, like you're not a clinician anymore. Like this, you have to think bigger. You have to think more global. You have to think future wise. And if you want to do it, like if I have an idea, then I can literally execute it.
Yeah, without any like loop, like
without like more
people,
right, or like worrying about my, I don't know, like productivity and like, I don't know. It's so different because medical, you're just bound to your patient.
Yeah. And even like pay wise, like you said too, like you said it just a second ago, but just how it's like with therapy, like you're only paid X amount.
Yeah.
What's your market analysis is and what your market wage is. That's kind of what they're going to base you off of.
Right. And that's it, forever.
It's so hard. Not that some therapists don't make a lot, but like, I mean, your average therapist is what could pull in 115, maybe 120 tops. That's probably on the higher end average, but then if you're really looking to make 300, 400K, starting your own thing or your own home health, doing something like that.
Yeah. It's a different switch for sure. It's crazy because I remember the first time I got paid by a brand, and in my head, I told myself, like, I don't need money as desperately as some other content creators do. Like, I'm going to focus on really quality content. That way I can charge a rate that I'm comfortable with. And I told myself my rate is going to start at whatever my paycheck was when I was treating patients. And I remember getting paid by a brand for making a 30-second video and posting some links and doing all the deliverables. And I was like, oh my God,
why did I do that too?
This is crazy. You know, and not to say that it's not hard work. I didn't automatically just start getting paid by brands. It took me a long time to get here to be lucrative with this, but it's so interesting because it was like, damn, would have taken me 2 weeks and tons of patience and paperwork and driving to get that. It's crazy. So it's a different shift. And then now it's like a lot of responsibility because this is a business. And so like to uphold that, it takes a lot, and putting that hat on, which is not my natural hat to be like this business owner. Is becoming a little more natural now, but it's taking a long time.
Yeah. To get there.
Yeah. And how about you with like shifting from, cause you were making a ton of money, plus or minus, treating patients across the greater San Antonio city.
Yeah. I mean,
as just a classic home health
I was
PT.
making a ton, but I was making pretty good money. And then the next job I had was making more money than that in a salary form. So that's why I took it with insurance. So
without being a treating PT.
Yeah, without being a treating PT and having to drive. And I left that job. One of the reasons I left that job, the insurance sucked. This is my previous job. Everyone was real cool and the place was really nice. Plus, like, there was a point where they were, possibly asking to do more work, which was fine, but the pay wasn't going to be equal to the work that I was doing.
Yeah,
and they told me it was because of, your market cap for a therapist as a director is X, and I was pretty much already there.
Sure.
And that's where I was like, well, like but the work you're asking me to do is not
clinical physical therapist.
Like it's like completely different.
But do you think that is just they didn't want to, or I'm not talking bad, but like, do you think that's because they felt bound by that's what you are, so they can't get creative and call you something different to compensate you more? Or do you think that was more on the intentional side?
I think I have 2 points of view. Like, the one that I feel like is the politically right one to say is they were trying their best to give me what they could.
Yeah.
And they felt they couldn't. My honest opinion is sometimes companies don't see, and I'm not saying I'm like a great worker, but I'm saying like companies don't see the value they have in certain people and tend to keep them in a box, in a certain role. And so for me, I felt like, damn, y'all are kind of boxing me in a little bit. Like, you're asking me to do more. And
you did do more too. They asked you only because you did do more. You proved yourself.
Yeah. Like I was, no matter what I was going to do, I was going to do great work.
Sure.
But like, man, I'm like, well, you're going to put me in this role. I'm going to do great and you're not going to pay me for it.
Right.
So that's kind of another reason why I left. But this new job, it's like you get paid, my base salary is more than I was getting paid, or it could be more than I was getting paid more. Then plus you get crazy amount of incentives.
Yeah.
Where like if you meet your goals, which you should be, building towards, then you get paid
a lot more.
Way like astronomically more that couldn't be matched. But
it's back to like we're in that place where if you want to make more money, then you do the work and then you reap the benefits of doing the work.
Yeah, and you have a chance to keep going, and it's a different title than a PT.
Right.
Like it's something outside of a PT.
I feel like crazy that we both have this like career change in our 30s, which is, we're so young to be doing, but I think that's crazy. It's kind of not at the same time. Mine was before, but at the same time, we're going through this big career change.
Yeah. Yeah. I tried it with Omega too when I had it with John. That's true. When I first met John, like that was the whole point, was to try to build something like that. Yeah. It just taught me a lot. Like,
you learned so much from that.
Kind of set a good foundation for where I'm at now.
Yeah, definitely. I think it showed you that being a PT is cool, but it's only going to get you so far in terms of your cap, because it's service based,
sure.
And so you're stuck there like patient after patient.
Yeah. So if you're looking to become a PT, still go to PT school. Yes. They're not dissuading you from doing
it. Look where it's taken us, for sure.
But like, and there's nothing wrong if you just want to treat. And there's nothing wrong if you just want to like, that's the greatest clinicians are the ones who have a passion for teaching or for treating and continuously
helping
learning.
Patients and learning and stuff.
And so I think that's like, if you're passionate about that, and it might change, but like keep going for it, but just know along the way, you have to fight for your value as you kind of get better at what you do. The best things you can do is pull your own data at the same time.
Yeah, like, that's a great tip.
If you're in home health, your home health has rehospitalization rates. Your home health has data that shows your patients went from X to Y because of you treating. Mm-hmm. Obviously, nursing probably wasn't there too, but like you have data to prove it, and so use it.
That should and I think same on my end too. When I was first establishing my rates as the baby PT, when I was working with these brands, and I didn't have a ton of experience working with brands, and that was reflecting in my rate. And I was more so like, I know this is on the lower end for me personally. Probably for other content, they're like, dang, that's your minimum. But for me, it was like, this is as low as I'll go with my rate, but I want the experience of working with brands and having conversations and meeting and achieving a high value product at the end. And so I wanted a lot of that under my belt and in my experience, at the same time creating content that was authentic to me and that was growing both of my followings on both platforms, right? Yeah. So then now it's more so reflect my rates. Now it's like an evolving thing, and goes back to like valuing yourself. Yeah. Which remember that I had the hardest time with like, I'm not going to charge that much. Like I just didn't value myself because I didn't think there was value there. But now, doing this for a while, now I see it. And now I see the difference too, in terms of like what they're getting from my quality, production and content versus somebody else's similar to you. Like you're a high quality, high value worker and you want a team around you that's the same as well.
I remember when and use social media too. Remember, John, when you would find these random like models to be on all my social media? Like I didn't know who these people were. I'm like, damn, like who are all these people, like these models on my social media?
But like to follow you?
No, like remember John would shoot
shoot for exercises and stuff.
Mega Sports and Recovery still active on social media.
That would have been so good, like in the age of this time now.
TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, all of it. It's just like you have to start somewhere, and I think a lot of people who want to stay, in their field, clinicians, that's what they don't grow into is like learning all of this stuff. They're like, I just know how to be a great PT. I'm going to keep learning, continuing my education, maybe teaching and continuing working and all of that stuff too, which is great. I think for us, I just started seeing my life later. Yeah. I was like, I just don't want to be doing that forever. Yeah. And I just found I had a lot of creativity and fun with my career change.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yours was just a little bit, you had more to do, I think, which you always like having like things to do and projects.
I like building something. That's my favorite thing.
Building structures, building teams.
Especially when it seems impossible.
Yeah,
that was one of my things on the predictive index is like I tend to be too optimistic, which is fine. I'd rather be that than not.
But. Totally. And I think it's helpful too because you can see hope.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's like the world you're meant to be in for sure. And then like you put a little competition into this boy, and he's like done.
You see these 3 trophies right here? That's how
you do it.
Martha Tournament 2023. I don't know if I'm gonna win it.
What, basketball? I'm like, you gotta tell what that is.
Yeah, y'all learn about that soon enough. St. Paul's, y'all better start training out there.
Okay. Before we wrap up? You fielded some resumes in your career. Yes.
I sure have.
What is some things that you're like stand out to you in a resume?
So I think resumes are interesting because majority of the world has a good resume. Like,
what do you mean?
Like everyone has a good resume to me.
Okay.
Like it's not like when you look at a resume. So like for the most part, everyone, when they submit a resume, is submitting a document they feel like will get them the job. So it's going to look good. It's going to have everything that you want to hear and read.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like resumes are tough. It's not so much what makes a bad resume. It's like the blatant things that make it bad.
Like what?
There's like the experience is not there.
Oh,
or
okay.
like if that's okay if someone doesn't have an experience, but like no effort was put in behind the resume or
okay.
Or you know what I mean? Like I said, when you it's hard because when you're doing when you're looking at resumes, you want to look at, if I'm looking for a DON, right? Like hopefully they had some nursing experience. You don't want someone who's just 1 year out and doesn't know how to be a DON.
Right.
Those kind of things. But like I'm saying, resumes are tough because I've looked at a bunch of them and they all look like it could be a good candidate.
So how do you pick then? So is that initially how you field somebody? You look at their resumes and then you pick and say, come in for an interview, right? Like that's pretty
standard. I mean, there's so many times when people have submitted resumes. Maybe like, let's say we're looking for a PT and 5 people submit resumes and all 5 look great. You call all 5 in?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like,
and then from there, what do you notice? Like, how are you picking one PT? Out of those 5?
Yeah. I mean, you're asking questions that fit your culture. You're asking questions that you see can fit you financially. Mm-hmm. For instance, are they used to working for us? You know, we have productivity points for home health, right? Like, are they used to seeing that many patients?
Right.
And how do they schedule those kind of patients, right? But I think first and foremost is a cultural fit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because that kind of drives how that person deals with the other person they're working with.
Right.
So questions centered around that. Questions centered around the financial part of it. And the other cornerstones that you've built your mission statement and other things off of in your company.
Right.
Do they match up? Because and not only that, you'll have some people that come in, like I said, the resume will look great. And the moment you ask them questions, you're like, what in the world? Like, why would you answer it like that?
I remember you told me that story when you were at Guardian and you were interviewing somebody and that guy showed up and it was like, why wouldn't, like, he was so cocky.
Yeah. He was just like, you need me. He literally was like, word for word, you need me here. You need me. He's like, and you're going to pay me 6 figures. And I'm like, the fuck? I'm like, okay, like, you can go ahead and leave.
Yeah.
Like, well, like, you know,
that's just not a way to.
Like, but his resume wasn't bad.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't bad. Had the experience he needed and everything. But the moment you called him in, I was like, dude, like.
So, and it's more so like you can fluff a resume, but you can't fluff necessarily in person. You can. Probably. And there's people that have gotten through the cracks.
Bad hires I've made. So it's not like everyone can read through the cracks. And I'm thinking as you get more time, you get better at it. Like there was one time where we were looking for a business office manager. And whoever's listening to this exactly knows who I'm talking about because they all make fun of me because I hired this person. It wasn't just me, though. It was 4 other people that were part of this interview that collaboratively hired this person. But this guy came in and like dressed up, flamboyant as fuck. I'm talking about like the most flamboyant person I met. I'm talking like, girl, don't you? He's a guy.
Right.
He's like, girl, don't you go there? And like, but like, you're not thinking about that, right?
Sure.
Like when you're hiring someone, bro, like, when I tell you, we hired this guy for a role, and his role was like, other stuff with the company, and then he plays a little role with therapy, so he's going to help me out.
Mm-hmm.
Hired him, said all the right things in the interview. All 4 of us were like, okay, he has experience, it could be good. Mm-hmm. The first day he comes in, I'm going to go train him on like some of the therapy things we have going on at the time. This is my previous job. So I walk in, and I'm like, hey, man, hey, do you have time, let's sit down and let's talk about these things that we need to get done in therapy that we're kind of lacking behind, but we're glad you're here to take over. He was like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, what? Like, this is 8:00 in the morning. I'm like, what? I'm like, this is your first day? I'm like, we literally just talked about this in the interview. He's like, I don't know who you're talking to, but I'm not doing that. And I was literally like, I was so pissed because like we've been waiting on this guy for months. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, we literally just talked about this. Let's go over it. He's like, don't even come in here and talk to me about this. You need to leave. What? I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, as I'm walking out, I'm like, what? Like, how did I miss this in the interview?
Dang.
He
fluffed his way.
All of us were like that because for months, he was there for probably, let's say, 9 months. And there wasn't a day when there wasn't an issue with this guy.
Oh my God. That's just a bad hire.
And he wasn't my direct, like I wasn't his supervisor because I couldn't fire him. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would have a lot sooner, but like, not only was he a bad person, we didn't let him go soon enough because he affected the culture so much.
Yeah.
And so I always think about that one. Anytime I'm doing interviews, I'm like, I think about him.
Well, what do you think you did wrong? Or what do you think you missed?
I think I don't think, when you're asking questions, you ask questions like what? Like what are questions you think when you're hiring somebody?
I don't know, like, what's your strength? What's your weakness? Yeah. And bullshit like that.
Interviews can go so well when you ask those questions.
Yeah.
Because they're easy questions to answer.
Yeah, and you can prepare for them.
Yeah, but I think one thing I'm trying to get better at is asking questions about kind of how they would handle situations, how they would handle conflict, like you said.
I'm telling you, put them in a room with a whiteboard.
And try to get stories from them. And the stories could always be good.
Right.
But the more and more I've asked those questions, you tend to see a little bit more of their personality.
Yeah. Like if they are blaming or if they're not taking accountability with that.
Yeah. All you're trying to do in an interview is really see how they fit with your culture. And if they have the qualities and the skills,
right,
to accomplish the job. But like strengths and weaknesses are such a simple question to answer, right?
Yeah, I know. And there's literally like TikToks about like what to say for your strength and then what to say for your weakness. So it sounds like a inadvertent strength.
My weakness is I work too hard.
Right. Like, yeah.
I tend to work so hard.
Yeah. I can't let things go until they're complete. Like BS like that. No, I get it. I think that's why I'm saying like telling a story about like how they resolved conflict.
Yeah.
And you can tell which one is like a BS story and then which one is like really true. Like I remember when you were going through your interviews, you had plenty of stories to pull from of how you resolved conflict.
Yeah.
Or like what you did in really conflicting situations.
Yeah. So I think those are like good, but some companies do also like a scorecard at the end where they'll do the interview and every single person has to rate that interview. Like I was rated on pretty much my last 2 jobs. They rated me.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of interesting. Then you have a group panel discussion where you're like, okay, how do you think he'll do in this situation? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's crazy because if you see yourself as an asset and then you see the hiring team, they're investing.
Yeah.
Making a huge investment. It's a huge money pool.
Like we did this thing at training in Idaho where we looked at how much does it cost if you bring on a DON, they're there, and then they decide to quit. Like it cost the company an extra like $100K, and the numbers I don't remember the exact numbers, but it cost them around like $100K to bring that person on, train them, that person's there, and the time they're leaving, and then bringing on another person.
Yeah.
It costs so much.
Yeah.
That's why hiring and like training and the onboarding process is like sometimes so overlooked. But we tend to hire people and just throw them in and be like, okay, get the job done. And it's like, well.
Yeah, that's where the nurturing, like if you're not fostering like where they're completely on the same page, they feel supported.
Yeah.
Because there's certain people like you and myself who I prefer, like if I were to start a job, I prefer to self-direct a lot of stuff. Like I don't want you to hold my hand, or I don't feel like you need to show me a lot. We're both really quick with concepts. Like, show me how it is one time, I'll figure it out. The rest, if I have questions, I'll come to you for sure, right? But then there's a lot of other people who are alternatively like to have you completely walk them through it, hold your hand. And I don't think there's any like necessarily right way or whatever, but to know that there's both like people learning styles, if you will, are different. Yeah. Can like make or break an onboarding process.
For sure.
If you're just going to throw them and be like, all right, well, this is how I like, you'll figure it out. But they want to be like walked through it. Then that's
especially those people who you bring on who are not good with technology. Like,
oh my God.
That creates so much stress for your whole team where someone just can't log onto the computer.
Yeah.
It seems so simple, but like it happens all the time.
All the time.
And I know it's hard to like, but that's an interview question, like, have you used these documentation systems before? Have you used these systems before? And if they haven't, how do they get to learn? Because, oh my gosh, it creates so much resource issues and like
I remember
productivity issues. And it's like, dang, this is taking forever to train this person. When are we going to get this person up and going?
Yeah. Just to be up and going. Yeah.
And not especially even where we're going with technology too.
Right. Like not even to be like automatic. Like it's crazy. I just remember you were onboarding at your other job, some older therapists who are not like technologically savvy. That's just not there. And I think it's so interesting because they are aware that they're not, and it's either one or the other. One really wants to learn it and like is game for being taught, and one is like so set in stone of like, back in my day, I didn't have technology. We were writing notes on a notepad, blah, blah, blah. And like, what do we need technology for? Meanwhile, you're just trying to get them to log on to clock in, and they're having a hard time. And that's like so much resources taken away and time taken away where they could just be a little bit more productive.
Yeah. And this whole thing we're saying is also with the backdrop of like a nursing shortage. So you're like, you're looking for people.
COVID,
You're looking for people to work for you, your therapy department, but you can't find anyone. So you have to bring on the next person you see. You know what I mean? So it's like.
It's tough. You're picking from the bottom of the barrel sometimes. But you got to make it work, and you have to onboard them equally, right? And it's I think it's interesting because now in this role that you're going to take, it is your job to delegate to people to make sure that they're on the same page and they're onboarded properly, and that they're kind of integrated well into the culture, into the company culture. I think that's a big deal. It makes or breaks stuff for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Anything else, Ribu?
I think that's corporate America.
That's corporate. That's career change. That's resume building.
And that's championship.
This boy just wants to end on championship. Right. I'll let you have it. All right, guys. So make sure to, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. This shows and like this video. But most importantly, you have to subscribe.
Yep.
And don't forget to follow us on.
Subscribe. What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for? Just click. I'm trying to think of myself on like the screen. Just click. Right down below where it says subscribe.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, right there. Where it says subscribe. And then on Instagram and TikTok, click the bell for your notifications on. Instagram and TikTok at the C Word Chronicles podcast. Give us a follow so you can stay on top of everything that's been going on, behind the scenes stuff, of course. And then I hope you liked this episode of the pod. We'll catch you next time. Love you. Bye.